Let me ask you something. How many times have you lost sleep replaying a situation in your mind, trying to control every possible outcome? How often have you felt stuck, trapped in an endless loop of what ifs and maybes? Like your brain just won't give you a break. You're not alone. Overthinking is a thief. It steals your peace, your time, and your joy. But here's the truth that will change your life. God is already handling it. While you're worrying about tomorrow, He's already there, working things out for your good. You see, we live in a world that tells us we have to figure everything out, make the perfect plan, and control every detail. But let me remind you of something powerful. Faith isn't about knowing all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. And that's exactly why you need to hear this message today, because I believe it's time for you to stop overthinking, let go of the stress, and start walking in the peace that comes from knowing God is in control. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll see why worrying is not your job. Trusting God is. Imagine this. It's 2 a.m. and you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Your mind is racing, replaying conversations from the day, planning for tomorrow, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. You toss, you turn, you try to distract yourself, but the thoughts won't stop. Sound familiar? You see, overthinking is one of the most exhausting things we do to ourselves. We analyze every detail, we try to predict every outcome, and we carry the weight of things that are completely out of our control. But let me ask you, has worrying ever changed a situation for the better? Has sitting there, running the same problem through your mind over and over, ever made things easier? No. If anything, it only makes you feel worse. We overthink because we want control. We convince ourselves that if we think about something long enough, hard enough, we'll be able to figure it out, solve it, or at least prepare for every possible scenario. But the truth is, the more we overthink, the less control we actually have. We lose control over our peace. We lose control over our joy. We lose control over our ability to be present in the moment because our minds are too busy living in the future, playing out every possible what if. And here's the thing, God never designed us to live that way. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, stress about everything, worry until you can't sleep, try to figure it all out on your own. No, instead, what does God say? Be still and know that I am God. He says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. But let's be honest, sometimes we don't want to let go. We say we trust God, but we still overthink because deep down we're afraid. We think, what if God doesn't handle this the way I want Him to? What if He doesn't come through in time? So we hold on to our stress like it's our responsibility. But here's the powerful truth. It's not your job to control everything. It's your job to trust. Think about a child. When a child is hungry, they don't sit there worrying about where the food is going to come from. They don't stress about whether their parents have enough money for groceries. No, they simply ask for food and trust that their parents will provide. That's the kind of faith God wants us to have. A faith that says, Lord, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I trust that you do. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to sit there analyzing every angle of every situation, because while you're overthinking, God is already working. While you're losing sleep, He's already handling it. And when you finally let go of control, that's when you'll experience true peace. So the next time you find yourself overthinking, stop and ask yourself, is this something I can control, or is this something I need to surrender? And if it's something you can't control, then hand it over to God and walk in faith, because He's already got it covered. Let me tell you something that might shake up the way you think about your struggles. Just because you can't see God working doesn't mean He isn't. Just because you don't have the answer yet doesn't mean there isn't one. See, we live in a world that tells us if you don't see results, nothing is happening. We're conditioned to believe that progress has to be visible, that solutions have to be immediate, that if something isn't happening right in front of us, then it's not happening at all. But let me tell you, God doesn't work on our schedule. He doesn't operate by our timelines or according to our expectations. And that's where faith comes in. You ever planted a seed? When you put it in the ground, it looks like nothing is happening for a long time. You water it, you take care of it, but for days, maybe even weeks, the surface looks exactly the same. No growth, no change, no sign of life. But beneath the soil, something powerful is happening. Roots are forming, strength is building, and when the time is right, that seed breaks through the ground. Your life works the same way. Right now, you might be praying for a breakthrough, waiting for an answer, hoping for change, but you don't see anything happening. You're wondering, God, are you even doing anything? Do you even hear me? And the enemy wants you to believe that silence means nothing is happening. But listen, just because you don't see the progress doesn't mean the process isn't working. God is moving behind the scenes in ways you can't even imagine. The connections, the opportunities, the solutions you've been praying for, He's already setting them in motion. But we get impatient. We start thinking, well, maybe if I just step in and take control, I can speed things up. And that's where we mess up. We force things that aren't ready. We try to manipulate situations that God is still preparing. And in doing so, we sometimes make things harder for ourselves. Think about Joseph in the Bible. God gave him a dream that he would one day be in a position of great influence. But then what happened? He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. From the outside looking in, it seemed like everything was going wrong. If Joseph had judged God's faithfulness based on what he could see, he would have thought God abandoned him. But behind the scenes, God was setting everything up. Every trial, every setback was leading him to exactly where he needed to be. Now imagine if Joseph had given up. Imagine if he had said, I don't see God working, so I guess He's not. He would have walked away from the promise before it ever had a chance to come to life. And that's the danger of overthinking. When we don't see movement, we assume nothing is happening. But faith isn't about seeing, it's about knowing. Knowing that even when we can't see the way, God is still making one. Knowing that even when we don't feel progress, the process is still unfolding. So let me challenge you today. Stop letting what you see determine what you believe. Just because your situation looks uncertain doesn't mean God is uncertain. Just because you don't have the answer today doesn't mean it's not coming tomorrow. Your job is not to figure it all out. Your job is to trust that God already has. And when you truly embrace that, when you stop overthinking and start believing that God is already handling it, you'll finally experience the peace that He's been waiting to give you all along. There comes a moment in life when you have to make a decision. Will you keep holding on, trying to control everything, or will you finally let go and trust God? We struggle with this because letting go feels like losing control. It feels like we're giving up, like we're being passive. But the truth is, letting go isn't about doing nothing. It's about trusting the one who is doing everything. Think about how much energy we waste trying to figure things out on our own. We stress over problems we can't solve. We overanalyze situations we can't change. We carry burdens that were never meant for us to carry. And in doing so, we wear ourselves down. We become anxious, restless, and exhausted. But God never intended for us to live like that. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That means there is an exchange happening here. He is saying, give me your worries and I'll give you peace. Give me your stress and I'll give you rest. But we don't always take Him up on that offer. Instead, we try to hold everything together on our own. Why do we do this? Because deep down we're afraid. Afraid that if we let go, things will fall apart. Afraid that if we don't keep stressing over it, no one else will. But let me tell you something. God does not need your worry to work a miracle. He doesn't need your overthinking to make a way. What He needs is your trust. Let me put it this way. Imagine you're in a car with a driver who knows exactly where they're going. They've been to the destination before. They know the road. They know the best route. But you're sitting in the passenger seat, grabbing onto the dashboard, questioning every turn. Are you sure this is the right way? Maybe we should go left instead of right. I don't see the destination yet. Are you sure we're not lost? Now think about that for a second. The driver already knows where they're going, but your constant questioning doesn't make the journey any smoother. In fact, it just makes it more stressful for you. That's exactly what we do with God. He already knows the path. He already has the plan, but we sit there gripping the wheel, trying to control something that was never in our hands to begin with. Let me tell you, the moment you stop trying to control the journey and start trusting the driver, that's the moment you'll finally experience peace. That's the moment you'll finally understand that letting go isn't losing, it's winning. There's a story in the Bible about Peter walking on water. When Jesus called him out of the boat, Peter was walking just fine until he started overthinking. The moment he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the storm around him, he began to sink. And that's exactly what happens to us. When we focus on our fears, our doubts, and all the what ifs, we start sinking. But the second Peter cried out for help, Jesus reached out and pulled him up. That's what God wants to do for you. He's not asking you to figure everything out. He's asking you to trust him. He's not asking you to hold on to the weight of the world. He's asking you to let go and allow him to carry it. So let me ask you, what is it that you're holding on to right now? What is it that you're overthinking, stressing about, losing sleep over? Is it something you can control, or is it something you need to surrender? Because the truth is, when you finally let go, that's when God steps in. That's when he takes over. That's when the doors start to open. That's when the peace you've been searching for finally finds you. So today, make the decision to stop gripping the wheel and start trusting the one who already knows the way, because when you do, you'll realize something life-changing. God was handling it all along. How many times have you worried about something, played out every worst-case scenario in your head, stressed yourself out beyond belief, only for things to turn out just fine in the end? How many sleepless nights, anxious thoughts, and overcomplicated plans have you gone through, only to realize later that none of that worrying actually changed the outcome? See, we convince ourselves that worrying is productive, that if we think about something long enough, hard enough, we'll somehow gain control over it. But let's be honest, has worry ever solved a single problem in your life? Has it ever added more peace to your heart? If anything, it does the opposite. Worry doesn't fix things, it magnifies them. It makes problems look bigger than they really are. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of fear, doubt, and exhaustion. Jesus knew this about us. That's why he asked in Matthew 6:27, can any one of you by worrying add a single hour to your life? Think about that. Can stress make your situation better? Can fear produce a solution? No. But you know what does? Trusting God. And let me tell you why. Because worrying is our way of trying to control things, but faith is our way of releasing them to God. When we worry, we're basically telling God, I don't think you've got this, so I need to figure it out on my own. But when we trust, we're saying, Lord, I may not see the solution yet, but I know you already have it handled. Here's something powerful to remember. Worry and faith cannot exist in the same space. You cannot hold on to both at the same time. Either you trust God or you trust your fears. Either you believe he's working it out, or you believe you have to figure it all out yourself. I once heard someone say, worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And isn't that the truth? You can sit there going back and forth in your thoughts, replaying every scenario, stressing over every possibility, but in the end, you're still in the same place. Nothing has changed, except now you're more exhausted than you were before. But here's the good news. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to let worry run your life. You have a choice. You can choose to hold on to stress, or you can choose to let go and trust that God is already handling it. And trust me, he is. Just because you don't see the answer yet doesn't mean there isn't one. Just because the situation feels out of control doesn't mean God has lost control. The same God who spoke the universe into existence, who calms the storms, who makes a way where there is no way, that same God is working on your behalf right now. So let me ask you, what are you worried about today? What's been keeping you up at night? Is it your job, your finances, a relationship, your future? Whatever it is, I want you to take a deep breath and remind yourself of this truth. Your worry is not helping you, but your trust in God will. And the next time your mind starts racing with anxious thoughts, stop and ask yourself, is my worrying changing anything, or is it just stealing my peace? Because if it's stealing your peace, then it's time to let it go. It's time to surrender it to God. It's time to remind yourself that he's already in control. He's already working things out, and he doesn't need your stress to complete his plan. So today, make a decision. Stop overthinking. Stop letting worry control you. Instead, put your faith into action. Choose to believe that no matter what's happening, God is already handling it. And when you truly believe that, you'll finally walk in the peace you were meant to have all along. Have you ever noticed how our minds have a way of turning small problems into massive, overwhelming situations? How we take a single moment of uncertainty and turn it into a full-blown crisis in our thoughts? We start with one small worry, and before we know it, we've built an entire disaster scenario in our heads. We do this because we like to be prepared. We like to have control. We think that if we can anticipate every possible outcome, we can protect ourselves from disappointment, pain, or failure. But the truth is, most of the things we worry about never even happen. Think about this. How many times have you been anxious about something, playing out every worst case scenario only to have things work out just fine in the end? How many sleepless nights have you spent stressing over something that never even became a reality? Studies have shown that over 90% of the things we worry about never actually happen. That means the majority of the stress we carry is completely unnecessary. And yet we still do it. Why? Because fear loves to feed on uncertainty. The moment we face the unknown, our minds rush to fill in the gaps with every possible negative outcome. But here's what we forget. Just because you don't know the future doesn't mean God doesn't. Just because you can't see the solution yet doesn't mean He hasn't already worked it out. God is not pacing back and forth in heaven, wondering how things are going to turn out for you. He's not scrambling for a backup plan. He's not caught off guard by your situation. He already has the answer. He already knows the way. He already sees the outcome. That's why He tells us in Isaiah 41:10, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Notice that God doesn't say, "I might help you," or "I'll think about helping you." No, He says, "I will help you." That means your job is not to stress about the outcome. Your job is to trust in His promise. But let's be real, trusting God is easier said than done, isn't it? We say we trust Him, but the moment things don't go the way we expect, we start panicking. We pray, but then we keep worrying, as if worrying is somehow going to make God work faster. But let me remind you, worry doesn't speed up God's timing. It only slows down your peace. You can either spend your time stressing over what might happen, or you can spend your time trusting the one who already knows how it will unfold. Imagine you're in a storm, the wind is howling, the rain is pouring, and the waves are crashing all around you. That's exactly how life feels sometimes. But do you remember what Jesus did when He was in a storm with His disciples? While they were panicking, He was sleeping. Why? Because He knew who was in control. And that's the kind of faith He wants you to have, the kind of faith that allows you to rest even in the middle of the storm, the kind of faith that says, "I don't know how this is going to work out, but I know my God does." So let me ask you, what storm are you facing right now? What situation has you overthinking, stressing, and losing sleep? Whatever it is, I want to challenge you to take a step back and ask yourself, is my worrying helping me, or is it hurting me? Because if it's hurting you, if it's stealing your peace, then it's time to let it go. You don't have to carry the weight of the unknown. You don't have to figure everything out on your own, because the one who holds the universe in His hands is already handling it. And when you truly believe that, when you stop trying to control everything and start trusting the one who already does, that's when you'll experience a peace that no storm can shake. A peace that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, God's got this. There's something powerful that happens when we truly understand this one simple truth. God is not just aware of your situation, He is actively working in it. We tend to think of God as distant, as if He's watching from above, observing our struggles, but not really involved. And because of that, we overthink, we stress, we try to fix things on our own, we carry burdens we were never meant to carry. But let me tell you something, God is not just watching, He is working. In John 5:17, Jesus said, "My Father is always working." Did you catch that? Always. Not sometimes, not when things look good, not when everything is going according to plan, always. That means right now, even in the middle of your uncertainty, God is working. Even in your confusion, God is working. Even when you feel like nothing is happening, God is setting things in motion that you can't even see. But here's the problem. We often don't trust His timing. We want things to happen now. We want the breakthrough today, the answer immediately, the problem solved overnight. And when things don't happen on our schedule, we start doubting. We start overthinking. We start asking God, "Do you even hear me? Do you even care?" And God is saying, "I heard you the first time. I've been working on it since before you even asked. Just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean I'm not handling it." Think about Daniel in the Bible. He prayed, and for 21 days it seemed like nothing was happening. But when the angel finally arrived, he said, "From the first day you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words." Daniel 10:12. The answer was already on the way, but there was a battle happening in the unseen realm. Daniel didn't know that. All he saw was delay. But the delay didn't mean God wasn't working. It just meant there was a process taking place that Daniel couldn't see. And it's the same for you. You might be praying for a breakthrough and you feel like nothing is happening. But what if your answer is already on the way? What if God has been working things out behind the scenes, lining up the right people, setting up the right opportunities, preparing the right moments, but you just can't see it yet? That's why you can't let overthinking steal your faith. That's why you can't let impatience make you doubt God's plan. Because if you could see everything God was doing on your behalf right now, you wouldn't be worried at all. So let me ask you, what are you waiting on right now? What situation has you anxious, overthinking, trying to figure out every possible outcome? Maybe it's a financial problem. Maybe it's a relationship struggle. Maybe it's a big decision about your future. Whatever it is, I want you to take a moment and remind yourself, God is already handling it. You don't have to lose sleep over it. You don't have to let fear control you, because the same God who has been faithful in your past will be faithful in your future. The same God who made a way before will make a way again. So stop overthinking. Stop stressing about what you can't control. Start trusting that the God who never stops working is working for you right now. And when you do that, when you truly surrender, when you truly believe that He's already handling it,